to bring you special coverage of 9/11. We start at 5 a.m. with Brian Kilmeade, who will sit down and talk with Donald Rumsfeld and Mark Tillman, who was at the controls of Air Force One that day. At 8 o'clock, live coverage from Ground Zero. At 11, we break for Faith Walk. At 11:30, we return to our coverage with Brett Witterball remembering 9/11. Then just how far have we come since that fateful day? 9/11, 10 years later at 12:30. At 2 o'clock, a show that is uninterrupted and unnarrated, just featuring the sounds of 9/11, the day of terror. Then what don't we know about 9/11? The secrets of 9/11 at 3. And 10 Septembers ago at 4, focusing on Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Then at 5, Alan Combs will sit down and talk to people who were inside the World Trade Center when the planes hit. It all starts Sunday at 5 a.m. on FM Talk 103.7. Tri-State with Kelly Spinner.
Get out of bed, you bum!
FM Talk 103.7.
And we are back. Good morning, Tri-State. I am Kelly Spinner. It is Thursday, September 8th, and we have the honor and privilege of talking to three distinguished gentlemen this morning. Reverend Harder, retired Lieutenant Colonel Rod Geddick, and Sergeant Major Stevens from Army Letterkenny Army Depot. They are having a 9/11 memorial Sunday from 5 to 6 on the square here in Chambersburg. Reverend Hardick, who is the chair of the Letterkenny Chapel Committee, has worked tirelessly along with volunteers and service people from Letterkenny to make this happen. We are going to be one of the few communities that will actually have part of the towers, the steel beams from the towers, and that unveiling will happen Sunday. I don't care which, but
yes, the unveiling will be Sunday. When we were asked to pick up the metal, Reverend Harder asked us to pick up the artifacts and bring it here. Mr. Geddick here, thought it would be fitting that we memorialize it in a period of storage, instead of just throwing the metal or artifacts into a warehouse somewhere in Letterkenny. That it needed to be treated with respect, and in doing so, that we've kind of lobbied for our guys in the fab shop, Lonnie Bender and a few guys that volunteered their time and after work are putting together a phenomenal temporary memorial to pay tribute to the artifacts and to kind of treat them with the respect and the honor that they deserve. So that will be brought here on Sunday and will be unveiled so that the community can see what and how we are going to be storing the artifacts until the artist Mike Fisher, a local artist here in Chambersburg, is going to also, that during Sunday, he'll have a sketch of his concept for the permanent memorial, which will be located at the Letterkenny Chapel, but and hopefully unveiled on Armed Forces Day of May of 2012, and that'll be the permanent thing for the community. But until then, we are storing it, and we didn't want to store it, and we wanted to memorialize it while we store it. So our guys have put together a temporary memorial, and that temporary memorial will be brought down here to the square, and the community will be able to unveil it, and the community will be able to go over and pay tribute to the artifacts.
Great. Yeah, I know a lot of people are very anxious to see that. Mike Fisher, sculptor, artist from DeVere Elements.
Yes, Mike is a well-known local artist and sculptor, and he's going to be assisted by Peter Nicholas, who has great gifts in welding and design. And they've been commissioned to create a suitable memorial, which will feature these artifacts in a very respectful and a very suitable aesthetic manner. In a memorial which they are designing. There will be a preliminary presentation of what the memorial will look like. One of the things that we're so conscious of is to revere the memory that the artifacts represent, and therefore to exercise the kind of care that is being exercised as they're stored, and as Mike Fisher and Peter have a chance to work on Peter Nicholas have a chance to work on the fashioning of the memorial. And we are very, very appreciative once again to Letterkenny Depot for not only the fact that they're storing these and protecting them so Mike and Peter can work on them, but the way in which they're being respected there through what Lonnie Bender and others have done. And I want to say that people have volunteered their own time. They're going the extra mile. This is something they're doing for the community. We are very grateful, and we thank the Lord for this investment of talent and time.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful when a community comes together like that. But I think on this special occasion, it doesn't take much, does it?
No,
it's on everyone's mind.
And when the artifacts arrived, they were brought on a Tuesday, and on Wednesday morning we had a committee meeting, and Lieutenant Colonel Geddick and Sergeant Major Stevens and others on the committee were there. And we went outside, and when they took the flag, they had put a flag over the artifacts, and then they had a tarpaulin, of course, to protect it on the way from New York City. When the flag was removed, nobody could speak. We were just overtaken by emotion. It was, for almost a minute, we just stood there, and so many thoughts were racing through so many people's minds, and certainly I'm sure through Lieutenant Colonel Geddick's mind, because he was right there on the scene, and Sergeant Major Stevens getting ready to go to that scene.
Oh, touching. Okay, we lost. I lost my train of thought with that. I'm sorry. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Geddick, what are some of your thoughts?
Well, as I said, I was the commander of Fort Hamilton on that day, and as I said, Fort Hamilton's a small installation in Brooklyn, New York, but it became very important that day to the Army. It is, in fact, the only military installation in New York City. And so, of course, we had a lot of emotions going through our minds. Obviously, a lot of my staff that worked for me had family members who were downtown in Manhattan who worked there every day. Plus, being the only military installation in New York City, and if you remember back to, and probably a lot of people don't understand this, but if you were on a military installation or you were a police officer or a fireman, what was going through your mind at that time is what's next? Who's going to get hit next? Because you heard about the Pentagon, and you heard about Shanksville, and nobody really knew what was going to happen next, and that was the big issue on a military installation, particularly in New York City, was, are we next? And what are we going to do about that? And so we had a lot of decisions to make very quickly, and a lot of people to protect. And we have over 1,400 people that live on Fort Hamilton, and so we had a responsibility to the family members, and a lot of those service members who live there and their families live there. The service members are downtown. The children are out at schools throughout Brooklyn, and of course New York City pretty much shut down for most of that day. Bridges and tunnels were closed. You couldn't move anywhere, and if you tried, it was gridlock. So we had a lot of issues on the installation, not to mention the fact that, as I mentioned, a lot of the staff had family members who were downtown. So not only were they trying to deal with their own internal emotions, but they also had a mission to perform on the installation. So it was a very difficult, obviously a very difficult time.
Obviously, for so many reasons, because that was scary. You were wondering. I worked in Harrisburg at the time, and that night I went into work, and the airspace, little Cub plane lost its way, and they were on that, and I just, bulletins on the news, the whole 9 yards. The people were really scared. They thought they were going to hit the nuclear, the power plant there, and it was everybody. It was just it was a jumpy time for everybody. Everybody's nerves were on edge, and they just didn't know, like you said, what was going to happen next. Sad state of affairs, and I sometimes wonder, 10 years later, if we aren't all still the same. Maybe a little less, but jumpy all the...
No, absolutely. Certainly it changed my life. And I think it changed the life of anybody who was even remotely involved in that. Because you realize how quickly things can happen and how quickly life can change.
We somebody had said, some great person, Reverend Harder, and I don't know who it was, said that we have to remember history so we don't repeat it. I sometimes, I'm so glad about the anniversaries coming and the memorials and things that go on because the children have to know what happened so they don't have to.
That's true. William Faulkner once made the statement, the past is not dead, it's not even past. And we need to remember that we still have enemies representing negative forces in the world that are seeking to tear down freedom, liberty, and democracy as we seek to nurture them in our nation and remember our nation's history in this regard and in other nations. And Emil Fackenheim made the statement that not to remember is to give a posthumous victory to our enemies, those who would destroy us. But there's also the aspect of hope and aspiration in this memorial. This memorial is designed to remember those awful days that we, in some ways, avoid remembering but must remember. And at the same time to point to aspiration and hope, because when you think about the ways in which the country has come together and we faced this challenge internationally, and the armed forces have played such a central role in this regard, and how we've come together as a nation in support of our armed forces and of our presidents and those in leadership roles, and the commitment that people have made and will make to establishing the values for which we stand, the freedom, the liberty, the respect for human rights, and continue to carry that mission, which was part of why this country was founded to begin with, into the days of the future in the providence and with the help of the Lord.
Amen. Amen, gentlemen. Also, we had that short break. Reverend Harder says, we need to remind all the veterans groups that they are invited, more than invited.
And in uniform.
And in uniform. So please, all veterans organizations, please come. You're more than welcome. Your presence is almost a necessity.
Amen.
Amen. So that's the deal there. We are just so honored and to be able to have this memorial, to be able to have something from the towers from that day with a community like this. But it's all, I think, due to Letterkenny Army Depot, and I want to give you special thanks for everything you do for this community, Sergeant Major. We truly appreciate it as a community. We're proud to have Letterkenny here, and we'll do anything. You support our community, we'll do anything to support you. So God bless you, and thank you for what you do. Also, Reverend Harder, the chapel itself, you said that the permanent memorial will be set up there. Is this going to be open to the public?
Yes, it will. It'll be open to and available to the public. This memorial will, as you face the chapel from Carbaugh Avenue, as you face it, it'll be to the right in the front of the area, and then we're hoping to create a walkway with trees, and then suitable memorials. Suitable memorial will be installed later on. We're hoping and expecting that will remember those who were in our nation's wars. And I do want to say as well that we do have Mr. Doug Warnock coming, who was at the Pentagon when this all took place, and has very powerful, obviously, memories personally of what he went through, and he will be there to speak as well.
Okay, all right. It sounds like it will be a great ceremony in remembrance of 9/11 with so many important speakers, and of course, I'm sure Senator Richard Alloway will be there,
Yes.
Congressman Schuster, and some of our representatives. So it'll be definitely a day to remember.
I think the congressman's representative will be there because he will be with the president at Shanksville that day.
Okay. All right. Okay. Still a lot of important people, and it's a day of reflection, I feel. I think everybody will be sitting back and remembering where they were and exactly what they were doing.
Reflection and recommitment. Recommitment to what we need to work together to do in our nation as we face the future, and the prayers that we need to say that what America represents at its best will continue to thrive.
Yes, absolutely. A terrible thing to happen. We've learned, I think, a lot of lessons that have come out of 9/11, such as, it could never happen to us, and it did. And it probably could happen again. But, diligence, Reverend, is, is part of what will make it not happen again.
Thomas Jefferson made the statement that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. That's a very good statement.
Yes.
And we do want also to emphasize that persons of all faith traditions are being affirmed in this. We recognize that the international struggles in which we're involved now do have a religious component, but we need to be careful to remember that the vast majority of persons of all faith traditions in the world are interested in seeing peace, in living their lives, building bridges, being communities that will cooperate with and help one another, and to be careful to distinguish between extremist radicals and those who are bent on destruction, and those who want to be productive citizens, whatever their faith tradition.
Very, very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. So there will be prayers at this memorial, and it sounds like a wonderful event. I hope everyone from Franklin County, surrounding areas can attend. They are closing off the streets. They are already expecting a huge crowd. So get here early. The memorial, the service itself starts at 5. Lasts for an hour or thereabouts. So there will be water provided in case it's hot, and of course porta potties and things for your comfort. So please get down here early, though. I think you're really going to need to do it. Plenty of parking. That's one of the things they always say about Chambersburg. There's no parking, but they don't look hard enough because there's plenty of it.
Within a block or two of the square, there's plenty of parking.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And just come down and be a part of that service. I think that's so important for everybody too, Reverend Harder, to feel like they belong, to feel like they're doing something.
We're trying to open our arms to include the whole community, and particularly those who have in one way or another served to protect and to care for the community from day to day. The fire department will also have a medical unit there in case there are any needs in that regard. So we'll, once again, right on the scene, we will be well protected.
Okay, great. So there you have it. There you have it. We haven't talked to Lieutenant Colonel Rod Gettig too much. Any thoughts, sir, that you would like to share?
Well, of course, this is obviously a great day of remembrance, and we talk a lot about the folks that perished that day. And we also talk about the first responders, but if I could just talk about the first responders
Absolutely.
for a minute. Because as the commander of Fort Hamilton, of course, I had a lot of dealings with the fire department in New York City and also the police department, including the emergency services organizations. And we worked very closely with them. We had several exercises with them. A lot of those people perished that day. People that we worked directly with every day at Fort Hamilton that served us, served our community and our folks there at the installation. These are the people that when everyone's running away, they're running to the fire and to the fight. And they did so, as Reverend Harder mentioned, they did so selflessly, as they always do every day. And I think that's important to remember, because you've got firemen right here in this community that I'm sure are more than willing to do exactly what those firemen did and those policemen did there in New York City that day. They serve the community every day.
Yes.
And we frequently forget that, particularly with policemen. Unfortunately, normally we only deal with policemen whenever we're getting pulled over for something or something like that, and that's not normally in a good light, but they really are there to protect and serve us. And we can't lose sight of that fact.
You're right.
These are people, I mean, we talk about soldiers and the great work that they do, and obviously I was a soldier for 23 years, and I love every soldier that we have. They are great, great Americans. But we can't forget our first responders right here in our own community, like our firemen and our policemen that serve us every day and are willing to put their lives on the line every day to make sure that we have a safe and sound community and that we can practice our religion as we see fit and without disturbance by other people. And I think that's important. It's also important to reflect on that. It's just a really good day, September 11th, this Sunday, to think about all those kinds of things.
Right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Reverend Harder?
Well, once again, we want to be encouraging people to come join in the prayers, join in the hearing, the remembering, join in the expression of hope and aspiration for the future, join in the visible support precisely for those whom Lieutenant Colonel Gettig just referred to, the first responders. We need to pray every day for the safety of those who risk their lives every day. We don't realize this. At any given moment, they could be risking their lives for us, and we need to be grateful for that.
And especially today, with everything going on, and exactly. So, do what you would do with a soldier. Everybody's so proud of our military. When you go into an airport, if you see them out on the street, you go and you shake their hand and thank them for their service. Maybe we should start doing that to our police officers and our fire personnel. It's just saying thank you. Thank you for all you do. And I know they'd appreciate it. And I know it would probably make us all feel much better too, to know that they, to let them know how appreciated they are. And that's the deal. September 11th, 10th year anniversary coming up Sunday. So memorial service here. If you can make it, please come here. Show your support, and let the world know that we will never forget, ever. I want to thank Reverend Hardy. You just have done such a wonderful job.
I really want to make sure that the credit is given to a very sizable group of people. We have an extended committee, and the Lord may help any one of us to perceive that there's an opportunity to do something positive. But this is a committee effort. This is a community effort, and I want to be sure we understand that that's what's involved here, and give credit to many persons. And this goes all the way back to 1995 when the depot and then LIDA chose to honor the United Churches by giving us the responsibility for maintaining and nurturing the life of that chapel, not only the structure, but what it represents for the community. This has been a joint effort. The late Jeffrey Roth, pastor of St. John's United Church of Christ, was the first chair of the chapel committee, and he worked tirelessly. We worked with him, but he worked tirelessly to establish the chapel, to rehabilitate, renovate, do the work that's necessary in this committee, and many in the community have contributed to that, personally, financially, by coming to worship there, supporting the services. This is a very important part of the Franklin County community. I think there's still a lot of people who don't realize what a gem, number one, that building is architecturally, but above all, what it represents in terms of peace, in this case between the Italian people and the United States, and hope for the future in terms of a world that is seeking reconciliation.
Very well said, sir. Very well said. Oh, my buddy, Sergeant Major Stevens. Any last thoughts, sir? We haven't heard too much from you.
No, the only thing is to make sure everybody comes out and participates in this event. I mean, a lot of work has gone into it. The committee, the people in the community have put a lot of effort into this. A lot of thought has gone into it. Come out. I know that the Reverend invited the veterans groups to come out, but everybody come out. Bring your children. The Boy Scouts. Everybody needs to be part of this. It's a community event, and it's something for the community. So just come out and be part of it.
And a day of reflection. as Reverend Harder had put it so elegantly. And please, I often worry, Reverend, and I think we brought this up just briefly today. The children need to know. The children need to know, and their parents need to tell them. And what a perfect day to be doing that.
One generation to another, a lot of children do remember, even people in their teens will remember what happened 10 years ago. But as the years go by, we need to continue to pass this awareness on. And as we're recognizing that so many members of the greatest generation are moving into heaven at this point in history, and thank God for the ones who are still with us, and they present a living memory of those events. But those are so critical for our country in terms of understanding who we are. And the teaching and the learning of history in the immediate and in the broader sense are an obligation we must pass on to our children and to the next generations.
I worry about that sometimes, Reverend, because you have special days in commemorating veterans, and Veterans Day. Armed Forces Day is another one, and these kids know that it's a special day, it's a holiday to enjoy, which it is, but they don't know the reasoning behind it, and I think they lose that, and they need to be told. They need to be told, so they can carry that with them, like their parents and grandparents before them. So we don't ever forget.
And the awareness that what has happened in our nation is so critical for fashioning a future that will continue to affirm what people have given everything for.
This fall.
Right. Exactly. Reverend Harder, thank you so much. Sergeant Major Stevens, again, thank you. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Rod Geddick, thank you. I'll be looking forward to seeing you all Sunday, and I hope everybody else is too. In the meantime, in between time, you guys go out, make it a great day. You keep it safe out there. I'll check back with you tomorrow right here on Good Morning Tri-State.
See all our Gator crossover utility vehicles, and do-it-yourselfers get a load of our huge selection of John Deere compact utility tractors, like the all-new 1 Series, bringing you features never before seen in a tractor this size. Plus, every John Deere tractor has tons of available attachments, making them a great value season after season. Visit Smith's Implements today, now with 4 locations to serve you in Mercersburg, Carlisle, and Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, and in Hagerstown, Maryland, or online at smithsimp.com.
This